Hello everyone, Chillax here, and welcome back to another Anchor Panic video. So this is going to be part 6 of a 15-part series in which I go over in great detail, in chronological order, every unreleased CN operator that we can look forward to in the global server. And huge thanks to Kwa, our CN player, who, without his generosity in taking screenshots of the kits of all 15 of these operators, I wouldn't have any raw material to work off of to give you these awesome translations. So, and I also want to give myself a shout out for actually going through the raw screenshots and deciphering and doing all the translations in a way that will make sense for you guys. So I'm hopeful that by the end of this video you will have a very good idea of what role and what value Adanie brings to the table, and hopefully that'll help you decide how to save your valuable crystal ashes and summon tickets. So without further ado, let's begin. So as you see before you, here is the event page of the ice support, Adanie, and this is her base skin form. She looks really cool. I like it a lot, her skin. And as per usual, she will have additional skins. She gets 2 additional skins, which I will show you right now. One of them is this right here. This is an office skin that we've seen variations of before for, say, like Turn or Flicker. Those 2 heroes come to mind. We did get office skins for them, and this is a 3rd office skin for Adanie. And by the way, Adanie, some people think that she's Awakened Dawn. I don't know how similar she is to Dawn, whether they are the same person or 2 completely different people in the story. I guess we'll find out from the event. And then this is her 2nd additional skin, which is I think my favorite one. I'm not even sure what's going on here. I guess this is a Lunar New Year skin or something like that. Looks pretty nice. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the meat of the video, which is her kit. So I do want to mention that I forget if it was Kwa or the other CN player, Dominica. One of them did tell me about a week ago that Adanie is essentially Ukali's perfect partner, in the sense that, you know, for those of you guys who have used Ukali, you may find her damage output underwhelming compared to other powerhouses like Abyssalicia, Rose, and Tia. But thanks to Adanie being such an effective support, like offensive buffing support, Ukali becomes a much deadlier DPS from the ice element side. So I think she might be a hero that you may want to pick up for your account and basically save your crystal ashes for. Now, as per usual, this is the character load-in screen, and she is a nice support, and she will come in a standard banner, which means you shouldn't feel FOMO when pulling for her, because she will automatically be added to the raid up banner that you can fail the 50-50 on whenever you summon on a raid up hero. Okay, so her talent 1, Oath of the Dawn. When Adanie is on the field at the start of each round, she activates the Knight's Oath, granting all allies plus 10% attack and plus 40% effectiveness to same element allies for 1 turn. So this is pretty much a staple for all elemental buffers. Additionally, the Knight's Oath provides Adanie herself plus 20% crit rate. Now this is interesting because, you know, some people say that Echo, who is a lightning support, is capable of doing decent damage herself. And Adanie operates quite similarly. She has ways to really enhance her own damage output, in addition to, of course, buffing the key DPSs like Ukali. So plus 20% crit rate is probably the juiciest crit rate buff any hero has been able to apply on anyone to date. Now for talent 2, let me just make sure you guys can see this. Readjust this. Sorry for the centering. For talent 2, when Adanie takes action, she locks onto the enemy with the lowest HP, prioritizing boss targets over elite targets, causing allies to deal 10% damage. I don't know if it's like 10% additional damage to the marked target, while Adanie's own damage bonus is increased by 50%. Okay, I get it. So she basically locks onto the enemy with the lowest HP, causing allies to do 10% additional damage to the marked target, and Adanie's own bonus damage will be increased by 50%. Very powerful. Each time the marked enemy loses a quarter of their HP, so 25% of their HP, Adanie gains 1 stack of punishment. Upon reaching 6 stacks, she triggers 1 source energy explosion on the locked target, dealing damage that cannot be blocked. So it's kind of like a true damage ability. So I think the key part of this is the first clause, where she makes it so that the weakest enemy, when Adanie takes action, she locks onto the enemy, and any allies that deal damage to that marked target will do additional 10% damage, or in Adanie's case, 50% additional damage. So that's pretty significant. Very powerful, kind of broken. And this is her basic attack, nothing to write home about. Skill 1, this is the most likely skill that will come to global. Purifying Blade Dance, she deals ice damage equal to 158% of her attack to the front row enemy, and the final hit applies 2 stacks of chill. It says chill here, but I think it means freezing stacks, stacking up to six times. So if you guys recall, in game, if you were to check the ice element, it states that when you have an ice homology, your attacks will apply a freezing stack on the enemy. Each freezing stack slows down the enemy by 5%, and at max 6 stacks, you decrease the enemy's ice resistance by 25%, thus increasing your ice damage output. So, this is her way to accelerate the process of getting the enemies to 6 stacks of freezing to really enhance the overall damage output of your ice damage dealers, particularly Ukali, and maybe to some extent the regular Dawn. Okay, so skill 2, this is the one that might not come to global. So it's like a 2-row attack. Deal in the front row, deals ice damage equal to 100% attack, plus 60 to 2 horizontal enemy rows, and the final hit applies 1 stack of chill for 2 turns, stacking up to 6 times. Yeah. Okay, I need to use the toilet real quick. I'll be right back. Sorry. Alright, I'm back. So Energy Burst, Dawn's First Light, deals ice damage equal to 280% attack to a front row enemy. If the target has 4 or more stacks of freezing, Adanie's source energy explosion damage is increased by 20%. Now this energy explosion, we said before, comes from getting 6 stacks of punishment, which occurs, what's the proc condition for that? Oh, each time the marked enemy loses 25% of their HP. Okay. I don't know how easy it is to proc this. Yeah. I know that when the enemy gets KO'd, like let's say a locked target enemy gets KO'd, there's no new locked enemy until Adanie acts. Now, with her signature Sigil, it fixes that. Adanie automatically retargets as soon as that locked enemy gets knocked out. So Maybe that's the way it accelerates energy explosion. Okay, so her Ascension 6 is really simple. Locked target damage can no longer be shared. And when the locked target is defeated, Adanie automatically triggers one additional lock-on. Okay. So the point of her Ascension is that, let's say, you're facing an enemy team who's running like a Plenilune, who is able to take damage on behalf of an ally. Or say you're facing a Lightning team and you got retargeted by Thunderrock's signature Sigil, right? Because she can draw aggro that way. Or let's say you're facing a fire team, once fire element gets good, and their Quasar is taking some of the damage on behalf, like a percentage amount of damage on behalf of other allies. It seems to me that this bypasses that, right? Because the locked target's damage cannot be shared by those defenders. I would interpret it this way. And then when you defeat a locked target, she automatically triggers one additional lock-on. Because normally she only gets one locked-on target at a time. So this is a way for her to kind of snowball the number of locked-on targets who will get 10% additional damage taken by, your operators, right? Or 50% additional damage taken by Adanie. I don't know how important that is. That doesn't seem super important. Okay, and then her signature Sigil, so it increases her ice damage, grants a plus 20% debuff resistance, makes her less likely to be debuffed. And then when Oath of Punishment is active, at the start of each round, Adanie gains 1 stack of punishment, and all allies gain plus 8% attack for 2 turns. Okay, so it's an additional way for her to buff the attack of her allies besides just her first talent. Adanie's own punishment effects are increased by 40%, and defeating the locked target refreshes the team's buff duration. When the locked target is defeated, there's a 35% chance to immediately lock onto a new target. So that's what I was saying before. When the locked on target gets knocked out, she wouldn't normally retarget until she takes an action, right? Because that's what her first or second talent states. So pretty good signature Sigil, I would say. Like, it definitely adds to the consistency of her ability to optimize the damage output of your party. So in summary, as an ice support, Adanie serves as a team buffer core. While on the field, Adanie provides team-wide attack buffs and significantly boosts same element ice ally effectiveness, making her a strong backbone for ice-focused compositions. And she also has priority target control. She consistently locks onto the lowest HP enemy, prioritizing bosses and elites, increasing allied damage dealt to that target while heavily amplifying her own damage contribution. She is also a freeze stack enabler. And remember what I said about freezing stacks. Each freeze stack decreases the enemy's speed by 5%. And at 6 stacks, it decreases their ice resistance by 25%, so you'll do way more ice damage to them. Her skills apply reliable freezing stacks to the front enemies, enabling ice synergy and setting up stronger burst windows. She also has a scaling punishment mechanic. As the locked target loses HP, Adanie gains punishment stacks, culminating in a source energy explosion that deals unblockable damage for strong single target pressure. And then in terms of burst synergy, her energy burst rewards proper setup, increasing her explosion damage when enemies have sufficient freeze stacks. So it seems to me if you really want to maximize her freeze explosions, you want her in a dedicated mono ice team. And I think at this point, by the time Adanie comes to the global server, I think she will have plenty of, well, I wouldn't say plenty of options, but she definitely has a very good ice, like 5 5-woman team to surround her, to complement her kit, maximize her kit. And then signature sigil value. Her signature sigil dramatically improves team attack uptime, punishment scaling, and lock-on chaining, making it her most impactful upgrade for most players. And I would agree with that, because I don't think Ascension 6 is that important. Yeah, so Ascension 6, which is pay to win, is a whale-only enhancement that improves lock-on chaining and boss pressure, but is not required for Adanie to perform efficiently in standard or global content. So I do think she's perfectly fine at A0, and if you are serious about an ice team, I really think you should pick up one copy of Adanie and get her signature sigil. Yeah, so also some additional thoughts of mine. I think that of all the heroes that have been released up until this point on the CN side, so we talked about Jade, we talked about Plenilune, and we also talked about 2 nature heroes and a fire hero. I kind of feel like Ice is where it's at right now, at least from the CN server side up until this release. So I feel like for a free-to-play player, if you're watching my videos, you pretty much know what to do at this point. You should skip the 2 nature heroes and the 1 fire defender, because we already have a fire defender and the fire element is just not that strong right now. And then the 2 nature heroes, I think until we get the nature healer Lyrewood a year from now or more, I don't think nature will be really viable, but we'll see. I don't know, I might change my mind in a future nature, because we're going to talk about Harken Wind later, but that's like by the time global gets Harken Wind, because after Adanie we get Yunjuan, a fighting defender, Morpho, a lightning stun, Momiji, fire striker, Kovneil, fire stun. Yeah, fire gets a little bit more love before we finally get the nature support Harken Wind. So I don't think nature is good to summon on right now, and neither nature hero is limited, so you don't have to have FOMO for them. You could lose the 50-50 to them as you're summoning for Plenilune and Adanie and Jade, which are the 3 heroes up until this point that I think you should summon for. This is why I do these videos, right? To save you guys your valuable resources. So please let me know in the comment section below what you think of Adanie. And if you haven't already, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss another upload in this 15-part series. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.